Hello, I'm Jay. Welcome to Forbidden Files. Today we are going to talk about a recent case. A Chinese woman mysteriously disappeared in Melbourne because she was a single mother. The son is only 7 years old. Therefore, it has received a lot of social attention. This is the disappearance of a Chinese woman. The afternoon of February 1st, 2021. Yan Santa Mom spent 5 hours cooking chicken soup. Enjoy it with your son at dinner. She also photographed her son's satisfied smiling face as he drank the soup, and uploaded the photo to her WeChat. Just when the two were enjoying a wonderful dinner, a phone call broke the calm. After hanging up the phone, Shan Ju looked a little abnormal. It seems that something urgent has happened. At 5:30, she hurried out of the house and didn't even have time to change my clothes and shoes. When going out, she was still wearing pink pajamas and slippers. She looked back and forth anxiously. Maybe the guy on the other end of the phone said something. She walked down the familiar street. After the sunset swallowed her shadow, no one saw her again. Jianju disappeared, strangely like she disappeared from the world. The missing woman, Jianju, is 34 years old. She has been living alone with her 7-year-old son since she divorced her husband. She lives with her son on Winchester Street in the Epping area of Melbourne, Australia. Usually, she mainly works as a purchasing agent, even if she is already in her 30s, but she still has a good appearance. She is good at socializing and has many friends. Jiangju is very patient with children. People are also very loving. However, her woman's peaceful life with her son was completely shattered by such a sudden disappearance. February 2nd, the police immediately stepped in to investigate. Stamper was the police officer investigating the incident. He took the police officer. A carpet search was carried out in the park near Shangju's residence. However, nothing was found. With the passage of time, the police still have not received any news about Shangju. Officer Stamper vaguely felt that something was wrong. He looked at the files of the case, wondered why Shangju suddenly disappeared. First of all, they ruled out the possibility of Shangju leaving by herself. If she ran away from home, not just in pajamas, no cash. If it's important, be away for a while. She won't be out of touch with her son for a few days. Then, Jianju was probably taken away by someone. Have you been kidnapped? That's not likely, because Jianju's family and friends have never received a call from the kidnappers. In the process of reasoning, Stamper's heart is getting heavier and heavier. He had a hunch. Maybe Jianju has been trafficked or imprisoned elsewhere. Since Jianju left in a hurry after answering the phone, then it is likely that an acquaintance committed the crime. After reasoning, Steinberg adjusted the direction of his investigation. On February 4th, Steinberg summoned people with close ties to Jianju to the police station and took statements from everyone. The first to bear the brunt is Jianju's rumored boyfriend, Sam Tam. Tam is 35 years old, Malaysian nationality. He's a plumber in the Doncaster area. He has a slightly fat figure, ugly in one's appearance, small eyes, swarthy skin. In the face of Stamper's inquiry, he seemed very calm and ordinary. He only gave a faint description of what happened that day. He said, "That evening, I had dinner with their mother and son at Kelly's house. Then she said she was going for a walk. Entrust the child to my care." And then he left, and I never saw her again. Stamper continued to ask, "Do you know why she suddenly left the house?" Tan lowered his eyes and shook his head. Stamper thought something was wrong. Tam's calm demeanor. It doesn't look like losing a beloved girlfriend. But who can tell about feelings? He didn't ask too many questions. Sam Tam left the police station. What's next is to take a statement. It's Kaiti, a very good friend of Shangju in Melbourne. During the 2 days of his disappearance, she made many calls to Shangju, but the phone was turned off all the time. Unable to rest assured, she finally dialed the police number. From Katie's mouth, Steinbe learned that Shangju was a very responsible mother. She never let their sons and people who are not family members be alone together. At this time, Stamper felt that something was getting worse and worse. According to Tan's confession, that evening Shangju received a phone call and left in a hurry, leaving her son and Tan alone at home. But this is obviously not Jan's style of doing things. What happened that evening? Stamper couldn't help but focus on Tan. He asked Katie, What is the love relationship between Jianju and Tam? Katie thought for a moment and said, in fact, they only established a romantic relationship a few weeks ago. Jiangju has always been very conflicted in this relationship. We made a phone call on February 1st. But I don't know why. She seems to have always wanted to break up with her current boyfriend. Stamper listened silently to Katie's narration. He doesn't think this is an ordinary disappearance case, because there are so few clues at the moment. Stamper decided to go to Jianju's neighbor's home to investigate. Maybe they can simulate the process of the day of the crime. He immediately went to see if there were any surveillance cameras nearby. Unexpectedly, there was a surveillance video in front of a neighbor's house, captured some unexpected gains. Stamper found a suspicious car on surveillance. Come 4 on February 1st to 8 on February 2nd, both in the Apong and Doncaster neighborhoods. Apong is the neighborhood where Shanju lives. Doncaster is the neighborhood where Tan works. This strengthens Stamper's suspicion of him. Just then, Stamper was shocked by the words of a neighbor. The neighbor claims that he heard an unusual voice on the day of the murder. On weekdays, Jianju treats people gently and friendly. There is only the sound of cooking and conversation in her house. But just a few hours after the evening she disappeared, he heard an unusual loud noise. The noise is very loud, and it woke up many other neighbors in the neighborhood. Another neighbor also said, at around 4 on February 2nd, he heard 2 or 3 men talking. The conversation lasted about 15 minutes. 2 to 3 men? Is this a coincidence? Or is it that more than one person committed the crime? But what is certain now is that Jiangju must have had an accident, and Tam is likely to be an insider of the accident. Tam, who was highly suspected, suddenly became the focus of the case. Stamper is going to use Tam as a starting point, launch a deeper investigation. However, what did not occur to him was that when Tam was summoned for the second time, he's gone. Tam seems to be deliberately avoiding police investigation. He sneaked away. This undoubtedly led the police to lock down the suspect. However, the available evidence is seriously insufficient. Most of them are circumstantial. The police do not have enough power to issue warrants. Are we going to let the suspect escape like this? Suddenly, Stamper had a flash of inspiration, came up with a good idea. On February 6th, the police issued a notice, appealed to the public to provide clues, search for the whereabouts of the missing woman. Stamper also specifically mentioned the prime suspect, Sam Tam. The notice described his appearance and position, and even pointed out the suspicious vehicle on the day of the crime. The new Mazda CX-9 with license plate number T1850. He appealed to the public to find out if there was such a man who drove out of Melbourne, and the notice was issued only 1 day later. They got a lot of clues, and found the whereabouts of the suspect. On February 7th in the afternoon, Stamper rushed to the airport with the police officers, and indeed found Sam Tam, who looked weary from travel, preparing to board a flight and leave Australia. They arrested Tam immediately, and take him back to the police station for questioning. But what Stamper did not expect, it seems Sam Tam knows the evidence is insufficient, and he was very silent during the inquiry, and absolutely denied any involvement in Jiangju's disappearance case. The second day, Sam Tam applied for bail, and Stamper has limited evidence, have no right to detain him. Finally, on the evening of February 8th, he was released on bail and left the police station, watching the biggest suspect. Just left. All the clues have been interrupted. Stamper felt deep anger and helplessness, and no one knows, will Sam Tam escape the country again during this time? If they fail to find direct evidence, this case will face a more serious situation. It is likely that the real culprit will be at large forever. At a time when the police were at a loss, the emergence of a new clue completely broke the deadlock. It turns out, after the murder, says M10 once went to a neighbor's house and asked several neighbors nearby if they have installed security cameras. After receiving a negative answer, he left with peace of mind. Stamper recalled Tan's various abnormal behaviors. He suddenly had a bold guess. Maybe on the evening of February 1st, Jiangju was already killed, and the body was hidden somewhere else by the killer. This undoubtedly provides a new idea for the detection of the case. As long as they find the hidden body, it would prove Sam Tan's absolute suspicion. So how do we find the body? Stamper brought himself. If one were the murderer, how could one safely dispose of a body without drawing attention to oneself? It has been more than a week since the murder. So far, the police have not received a report that the body was found. Therefore, the dumping site is highly hidden. It's probably a forest or a river, and it's not safe for the killer to carry the body for too long. So the nearby sparsely populated industrial area, it is undoubtedly the best choice for the killer. Under the circumstances, the police immediately locked on the west of Heidelberg and the bushes and rivers of the Alphington area. Stamper is full of confidence. He has almost seen how the real killer was caught. He immediately mobilized a large number of police officers, dividing them into two groups, to search these two areas. Benefit from the cooperation of the surrounding residents. The scope of the search is gradually narrowing. The police conducted a search in the areas, such as waterways and drainage ditches, but there's no sign of a body anywhere. These results surprised the police officers. Is it possible that their efforts during this period have been in vain? What on earth went wrong? Stamper was disheartened. He was completely silent. With the passage of time, the police thought the case would go on like this until one day. Stamper was urged by the police. We organized the case files at that time. Just then, he had an idea. Thinking back on Tan's appearance, he suddenly had a new conjecture. Is it possible that he thought the killer was too farsighted? Is it possible that the killer was in a panic, just dumped the body in the trash can? To verify this possibility, on June 15th, Attle and Phil in Wallet, north of Melbourne, Stamper led officer out on a new search. Finally, on June 18th, Stamper's conjecture came true. The police found the remains of the body in the garbage dump, and after DNA comparison, this red does belong to Zhangju. After the body was found, the progress of the case has become smoother. On July 16th, Stamper took the evidence he had collected. Sam Tam has been formally charged with murder in the Melbourne District Court, but for many reasons, the police did not provide the court with details of the case. First, autopsy results are not yet available. Secondly, police also need to wait for a chemical tracing expert and geographical experts, and several witnesses are currently unable to appear in court. So the court finally decided on March 21, 2022, hold a 5-day hearing on controversial cases to conduct the final murder trial. But it has been revealed the police's existing evidence can confirm that the murderer is Sam Tam, but the detail of the final case, it will not be known until March next year. The vigorous disappearance case of Zhangju, it turned out to be a sad murder. The moment she was murdered, my heart must be full of reluctance to part with my son, a single mother alone in a foreign and lost her life in this way. Only young children are left with the pain of losing their mother. I believe that the real culprit will be severely punished by the law.